What's up, geeks? Welcome back for another episode of Best Geek Vlog Ever, the weekly web show that proves it's okay to be a geek. We're your hosts, Brenden Toda and
Ezequiel Gutierrez.
On today's show, we're going to talk about Season 4 of Arrested Development exclusively on Netflix. Easy and I have watched about 10 episodes each, and we're going to talk about our general thoughts and reaction. For those of you who don't know, Arrested Development is a television series originally aired on Fox from 2003 to 2006, focusing on the Bluth family, a formerly wealthy and habitually dysfunctional family, and probably one of our favorite TV shows on TV that was cut too short. What do you think so far?
I think the first thing that at least I notice is that it's seamless. It really doesn't feel like it's been over 7 years since the last season. It picks up right where it left off. It's really funny, and it's really good, just good to have these characters back. I mean, I think during the initial run, my biggest pet peeve with the show is that I didn't know which character was my favorite. Between episodes, I was like, no, yeah, I think Job is officially my favorite Bluth. And then another episode would go by and be like, no, Buster, definitely Buster. Mm-hmm. So it's just good. It's just really nice to have the family back. Now, you said, for those of you who don't know, which to me seems ridiculous. Like, everybody needs to know, especially by now, what Arrested Development is. But the reason that the show is back on Netflix in this way is because a lot of people didn't know what it was at the time. The interwoven plots is really interesting, and I think that will be sort of the divisive factor of the show.
Of the return
especially with fans. I think there are some fans who won't like it in the non-standard format of your typical sort of comedy. But I think it's brilliant. I think what they've done to it so far, what I've seen, is incredible.
Overall, very good. Well worth your time. If you're a fan, even at all, or if you're not a fan to begin with, it's worth checking out. And spoiler-free, our review. There you go.
Which brings us to our next segment we like to call Countdown, where we count down
something.
Exactly.
Today's edition of Countdown features our top 3 shows we'd like to see Netflix resurrect to give another go-around.
Our number 3 is a show that, for me, sort of felt ahead of its time. It was very quirky. It was almost so unique that I could sort of see how it was a little bit inaccessible to people. That show is Pushing Daisies with Lee Pace and Anna Friel. This is a story of a pie maker who was blessed, or cursed if you will, with the gift to bring people back to life by touching them. But they were only alive for a minute. And if he didn't touch them again, somebody else would die in their place and they would live. But if he touched them a second time, they would die forever and they couldn't be revived. He uses his gift to help solve crimes, solve murders. He could resurrect a victim who was just killed, ask them what happened. They have a minute to interrogate the victim before he has to kill them again, essentially making him a murderer. I never thought about that. The real heart and soul of the show is that his childhood sweetheart was killed, and he brings her back and does not touch her a second time, meaning someone else dies, but she lives. So they end up falling back in love again, but they're unable to have a physical relationship. They can't touch each other at all.
Oh, and because if he touches her, then
she dies forever, and she's gone forever. Ooh. So even though somebody else has died in her place, this woman, the love of his life, is back, but he's not allowed to touch her. And that is difficult, but also the brilliance of this show. And it's really a visually impressive show. The aesthetics is really bright and cheerful. The main character, Anna Friel, is a very cheerful character, even though she knows at any time if they aren't careful, she could die. Really very charming show that only ran for 22 episodes before ABC canceled it. That is a show I would definitely watch again if any one of these streaming services decided they wanted to bring that back. I would fully support that.
Number 2 on our countdown is a show that we both love called Young Justice, which originally aired on Cartoon Network from 2010 to just recently here in 2013. A total of 48 episodes created by Branden Toda and Greg Weisman. It follows a team of young protégés, Robin, Aqualad, Kid Flash, and while that may not sound like a show for everyone, it was a show for everybody. Mm-hmm. If you're a big comic book fan, this was a great show for you. If you're not a comic book fan, this is a great way to get into it. And unfortunately, I felt like it was canceled well before its peak.
Mm-hmm. The story is really based on these new younger group of superheroes, and I found them all fascinating. I mean, there wasn't really a wasted episode. And I think that's a testament to the writers and the stories that are out there in the DC universe.
There's a great episode where the entire Flash family is all featured, from Barry to Bart to Wally. Like, everybody's there and all in costume. They all run. It's so amazing, and it's something that could never be done in like a movie. But man, I'm geeking out hard on this right now. So
yeah, why you watch it is to see the dynamic between these characters, because you think you know them because you know Batman, you know Superman, you know Aquaman, but it's very different when it's this new group of younger, sort of rash and inexperienced characters who are sort of coming to grips with who they are and where they fit into the mold. Number one on our list is one of my favorites, right up there with Arrested Development, which was Party Down, which was a show on Showtime about a bunch of struggling actor writers who hold day jobs as caterers for Party Down Catering. It stars a lot of people you all love: Adam Scott, Lizzie Kaplan, Martin Starr, Megan Mullally. This was a show that I couldn't understand why people weren't watching it. It definitely skews a little younger than Arrested Development does. Definitely not as young as something like Young Justice, but it's a really interesting comedy. I really do like the comedies on these pay cable channels. They can go places with their comedy that the network shows can't. It's really smart. It's not broad humor, but it is very accessible, and there's a lot of really great cameos from really great actors and things like that. But Party Down, definitely something you need to check out. And again, it only ran for 2 seasons on Showtime. Party Down is absolutely hilarious, and a show that was canceled way ahead of its time.
thanks for joining us for another episode of Best Geek Vlog Ever. To stay up to date with all our latest episodes, hit the subscribe button right here. New episodes are uploaded every Monday. If you have a suggestion for next week's topic, leave it in the comment section down below, or hit us up at our Twitter at EpicHappensHere. For Best Geek Vlog Ever, we're your hosts, Brenden Toda and
Ezequiel Gutierrez. And remember, every weekday is a geek day.